In a recent survey, it was discovered that 70% of hairdressers were never shown or just didn't understand how to choose their own scissors. As an educator, I find that shocking, so I'm going to follow through with 3 tips on how to choose the right scissors for your kit and the importance of doing so. So the first thing to look out for is shape or handle design. There's only really 2 on the market. The first is straight and classic, and the second one is offset. The straight classic one is not really ideal for the modern hairdresser anymore. You'll know this by the finger rings being exactly symmetrical and the blade being completely straight. This causes, while cutting, your arm to be in a very unnatural shape, and can be quite obstructive when you're trying to cut hair onto the skin. You'll find that your wrist and your hand will be in the way of your vision. The second thing is that it doesn't allow for freedom of movement of both wrist and elbow, which causes you to have funny posture and doesn't allow for flow of hair at all. You'll find that these are much cheaper than the offset blades, and you'll often find that young stylists will gravitate towards them because they look like a regular scissors. They're not ideal though, and I will always recommend going for an offset. The offset looks like this, and as you can see, one finger ring is much lower than the other. This allows for much more freedom of movement of your wrist and arm, and it's a much more natural shape for anybody to move the wrist in. It also leaves a good gap between both finger and thumb, which is much more comfortable to cut in and has better distribution of weight, as you can see. So this is definitely where to go with the scissors offset. So the second thing you should look out for is blade length. You'll find a lot of young stylists will start off with a much smaller blade than they should. I suppose that's so they don't feel so overwhelmed, and they probably feel like they won't make as many mistakes with that, and that's fine for the first year until you get your bearings. But it's important to know that down the line you will have 2 lengths in your kit, a short length and a longer length. Where you go on that scale is up to you, and it's personal choice, and it's finding how you work and what your style is, but it's important to know why you use both. The shorter blade is always great for really beautiful tight precision work, and the longer length blade will be used for probably quicker work or texturizing. It's really beautiful to use a longer blade for point cutting because it'll get right down deep into the shaft and allow for the hair to look a lot more fluid when you're cutting it. With the shorter blade, if you continue doing that kind of work with a shorter blade, the hair would look like it's been eaten by rats, which is obviously not what you want when you're a hairdresser. So it's important to know that you will have both in your kit in the future, and that's that. So the third and final thing you should look out for is blade design. It's the most important thing. I can't stress how important it is. This is the difference between becoming an amazing stylist or being a mediocre one. So please ask the questions before you leave your suppliers. If they're selling you something, they should be able to give you full details of what they're selling you. I always tell the new stylists that come to me to avoid serrated scissors. The serrated scissors won't allow you to have the full scope for modern hairstyling the way you want to. It'll only allow you to cut hair one way, which is still, and that is not what you want from a scissors or a blade at all. You'll know this by the blade being quite straight in design. It will have a little bit of a bevel, and the teeth on it will be very, very, very tiny. This will only, like I said, allow you to cut in one way, which is very, very still. So I always tell people to avoid this because it won't allow you to slice or point cut, which is what you want to do. And you want a blade to be able to do everything. You want a blade to give you the full scope of doing everything that you want to do with it. So I always push people towards the Japanese blade, which is far superior. They generally take 2 weeks to make, which is reflected in the price. But it's worth its weight in gold in the long run. And these are kind of cut in the blade is cut in a convex design, which gives for a much smoother finish, allows you to point and slice cut, allows you to give beautiful, beautiful sharp lines as well. And that's what you want from your blade. You want everything.